Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Tindangle Yugioh deck profile for March 2021. This is the deck used by Akira Zaizen in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains anime, a deck that focuses on going into your boss Link 3 monster and having a bunch of different support that focuses on flipping up the different Tindangle monsters and gaining different monster effects based on which ones you have on the field and other Tindangle monsters set up in the graveyard. We got some new spell support from Eternity Code as well, just to boost the power of the overall playstyle of the Tindangle monsters, which I felt the deck definitely did need, and I believe there's still a few other cards in the OCG that we need to get for this deck to have it full power in the TCG. But until then, we'll go ahead and go through with all the cards we have for the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Tindangle monsters, one of our main go-to ones is Tindangle Base Gardna. If you control a face-down defense position monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can only special summon Tindangle Base Gardna once per turn this way. If a monster is normal or special summoned and is now pointed to an opponent's Link monster, except during the damage step, you can tribute this card to special summon one Tindangle monster from your hand or deck in attack position or in face-down defense position. So this is your go-to setup card. Just even having one Tindangle monster on the field, or even just a face-down monster, is enough to special summon this resource onto the field for you to use. Having 2300 attack makes it more of a defensive card, but still great for your overall setup to go into some of your different Tindangle monsters, including your boss monster, which is Tindangle Acute Cerberus. So having this at 3, I would say is definitely needed. Just opening up this card for that resource to use is one of the main reasons we want to run it at 3. For some of the other 3-ofs we run in the deck, we also run 3 Tindangle Angel. For the flip effect, you can special summon one flip monster from your hand or graveyard in face-down defense position, except for Tindangle Angel. Then, if it is your opponent's battle phase and the battle phase, you can only use this effect of Tindangle Angel once per turn. So not only does it give you a resource if your opponent were to attempt an attack into this card and the attack was unsuccessful because of the high defense, you can get your additional monster for the special summon, and then also the additional setup for your opponent by ending the battle phase will take away from any other attacks and save you monsters on the field to use. And it doesn't limit you to what you can special summon onto the field. It just says a flip monster from your hand or graveyard. So you have plenty of other options in your deck to use. One of my favorites will be the last generic monster that I run just for overall setup for more and more extra deck resources. I also run 3 Tindangle Trinity with this card. Flip, you can special summon one Tindangle Base Gardna from your deck. So with it, you have more options to go into your main go-to monster. But also, if this card was flip face up, your Tindangle monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. If this card is sent to the graveyard as link material for a link summon of a Tindangle monster, you can add one Gurgon's End from your deck to your hand. If you do, send one spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Tindangle's Trinity once per turn. So with that card for the search power, that will rely on going into our trap search and then being able to set up any of the other different Tindangle cards for that setup by sending a spell or trap means we have plenty of other banish options depending on which one we send to the graveyard for that banish. Just gives us more and more setup for Tindangle monsters in our graveyard, but it also gives us search power because a lot of those banishes rely on just searching out other additional cards depending on which one we set up. For some of the lower numbers for the Tindangle monsters, I also run 2 Tindangle Protector. For a flip, you can change up to 3 face-down defense position monsters you control to face-up defense position. Then all those monsters are Tindangle monsters. You can add up to that many different Tindangle cards from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Tindangle Protector once per turn. So the one thing they get around from making it not as powerful is the fact that a lot of the different Tindangle spell or trap related cards don't actually have Tindangle in their name. So you have to search mostly for monsters, which are more resources you can go into. We do have the option to search for Tindangle Duel Links, but also having just that search is a great bonus all in itself, and also just being able to flip them up and resolve all the other different Tindangle monsters we may have by using Protector makes it that much better of a card. Only running 2 of it though, you need to have that setup initially already ready to go on the field, so that's why we're only running 2 of it. For some of the other lower numbers, I'm also running 2 Tindangle Intruder. For flip, you can add 1 Tindangle card from your deck to your hand, and when this card is normal summon, you can send 1 Tindangle card from your deck to the graveyard. If a monster is special summoned to your field in face down defense position while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in face down defense defense position. This is not optional. You can only use this effect of Intruder once per turn. So the other reason we only run 2 of this card is because once you set it up in the graveyard, it's just that much easier of a resource to summon back onto the field for you to make use of, and then just giving you more and more search power for some other Tindangle cards. We run it more for the normal summon option also because it has 2200 attack and 0 defense, making it more of a card you want to summon out for that resource. And the last card is Tindangle Hound, which we're only running 1 of just for the difficulty, once again, to summon it out, but once you get it in the graveyard, it's that much easier of a resource to summon. With its flip effect, you can target 1 other face-up monster on the field. This card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack, then change that target to face-down defense position. And each monster your opponent controls lose 1000 attack for each monster to link to it. If this card is destroyed by battle or a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 face-down monster on the field, change it to face-up defense position. So once you just get this resource going, it's really all you need. The more setup comes in from the higher numbers of the other Tindangle monsters like Angel, Base Gardena, and also Trinity. For that setup, we can rely on Hound just for more of the power plays once we get Acute Cerberus set up on the field, which I would say is more of our go-to boss monster altogether for that setup. And for some of the additional monsters that we run in the deck, with all the different flip effect options, I am running 3 Scapegoats. You can special summon any number of Black Sheep tokens onto the field. Zombie level 1, 0 attack and 0 defense, which works great just for the option of Tindangle Angel, which I'll go over some of the plays at the end of the video, just for resources on the field, because we run a pretty generic extra deck aside from the Acute Cerberus. Being able just to have those resources to go into those monsters makes it all the better for sure. So 3 Scapegoats is just good for even just protection against your opponent if they were attack into it, giving you the additional tokens on the field for defense, but then more resource as well, because then you just special summon any number of them on the field when this card is flip face up. And then lastly, for the monsters, just as additional shutdown power against my opponent, I run the 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, once again going off of when this video was created. If you want to run any other hand traps based on if the ban list does anything, which I really don't think they'll do anything to Ash Blossom, you can put in Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre, you name it, any other hand trap option as the final spot for this card in the deck. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Nagel's Protection with this card. Tindangle monsters in your main monster zone cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects once per turn. If your Tindangle monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, the damage is doubled, and you can banish this card from your graveyard and discard 1 Tindangle card to add 1 Nagel's Protection from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Nagel's Protection once per turn. So with this card, you have options for search power. With the send effect that we spoke of before, being able to set up more and more cards in the graveyard for this card, being able to send a spell or trap with Tindangle Trinity makes it all the scarier, because then you can just banish this card to search the copy of it beforehand, and then being able to just to have that search from the graveyard is our main go-to play. I also run 3 of the newest card from Eternity Code, which is Stairs of Mail. During your main phase, you can activate this effect to discard 1 Tindangle card. If you do apply one of these effects, you can change 1 face-down defense position monster you control to face-up attack position, or you can change 1 face-up attack position monster you control to face-down defense position. And this turn, you cannot discard another card with the same name for the effect of Stair of Mails, even if this card leaves the field. So it's not a once per turn, you're just limited to what you can discard for this card, making it that much more powerful of a card because of the fact that you're not limited to what you use it with. You can even use it with Scapegoats, being able to flip it up as soon as you set it and gain those additional special summons for that option, and then also having the additional discard to set it back down again to use after you use your resources. For some of the lower numbers for these spells, I also run 2 Euler's Circuit. Having the banish to add another Euler's Circuit means you can just set it with Trinity and then banish it to add another one to your hand, clearing your way for the rest of the deck since it is the field spell of the deck. Your opponent's monsters cannot attack if you control 3 or more Tindangle monsters once per turn. During your standby phase, you can target 1 Tindangle monster you control, give control of it to your opponent, and you can banish this card from your graveyard and discard 1 Tindangle card to add 1 Euler's Circuit from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Euler's Circuit once per turn. So there's the banish effect we spoke of before. When you set it up in the graveyard for Trinity, you're basically opening up just search power to add the other copy from your deck to your hand. So very, very useful with that setup. And just for the additional power plays for special summoning, I run 2 World Legacy Succession. With the link arrows for Acute Cerberus, we have more options to special summon cards onto the field using this card pointing to where the link arrow goes, and then having the other option like Stairs of Mail to then flip that monster we summon face down and then have the flip effect resolve afterwards. Very, very useful for that. That's why I like to run the 2 of this option. The other one is just having the Monster Reborn option. If you want to run a 3rd copy of this, you could potentially drop the number of Foolish Burial Goods, which are in here just for the different spell options for protection, and just also Circuit, having these options along with the trap cards that we run also. For some of the one-ofs in the deck, I run one Reasoning with all the different level Tindangle monsters. Having this is a great option just to set up some other ones in the graveyard, along with excavating and sending some of the other spells that can benefit from the search and discarding of other Tindangle monsters. I also run one Foolish Burial for more graveyard setup, and one Monster Reborn, and one Terraforming for searching out the field spell when need be. Sometimes just a quicker search than going for the Banish setup that we intended to go for before. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. I run two Yugioh's End. With this one, target one Tindangle Link monster you control. Equip this card to it. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. And once per turn, if there are monsters in all zones the equipped monster points to, if there are still monsters in all the zones the equipped monster points to, you can destroy this card and all of those monsters, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the equipped monster's attack before they were destroyed. So with it, you have a true damaging effect for power against your opponent, just being able to inflict massive amounts of burn damage using this card. It's more of a setup card. You have to have your Link monster on the field ready to go. That's why I'm only running two of this card for that play. I also run the two Tindangle Duel Links to finish off the main deck. When you take battle damage from an opponent's attacking monster, well, you have three or more Tindangle monsters with different names in your graveyard. You can destroy that attacking monster, and if you do special summon one Acute Cerberus from your extra deck, if you control no monsters in the extra monster zone, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target one Tindangle monster with different names in your graveyard and special summon them face down. So this is another card I considered bumping up to 3. If I were to do so, I would take out one of the Yugioh's End for a third copy of this card, just because it's easier access to our Link 3 Link monster, but also being able to just to set up more and more of our resources that we have in the deck back on the field for us to use later on. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck, being one of the more important cards for our setup plays. I run 3 Tindangle Acute Cerberus. You need 3 Tindangle monsters to make it. It gains 3,000 attack if you have 3 or more Tindangle monsters with different names in your graveyard, which is the requirements normally to summon this card. They don't have to be the different names to summon it, but you should normally just have those 3 in the graveyard for that setup. And then also with different names in your graveyard, including Base Gardener. Don't forget that, which is an easy special summon to get out on the field. Also, it gains 500 attack for each Tindangle monster it points to. At the end of the battle, this card declare attack. You can special summon one Tindangle token onto the field. More resources to use, and just being able to occupy more of the link arrows this card points to makes it easy to set up our trap cards that would equip onto this and then inflict more burn damage against our opponent. Since if we have the different Tindangle monsters, we can have it boosted up to 3,000 attack with the current attack that it was standing at when we use that trap card. For more of the generic link monsters, I run 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Barricade Board Blocker. I run 2 Wee Witch's Apprentice with the Dark attribute and the recycle power we have. It definitely does come in handy, especially when using Scapegoat for a more boosting play on the field. 1 Master King Archfiend with the Fiend type that we use. 1 IP Masquerena. 1 Link Karibo, 1 Clara and Rushka, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Triple Burst Dragon, and 1 Access Code. If you don't have Access Code, you can always use Borreload Dragon as the last option, just being another option because of the fact that I do like the co-link options with Access Code Talker and Acute Cerberus is why I decided to focus on this card instead. And then as for some of the go-to plays, like I spoke of before, having just the easy setup on the field, being able to then special summon other resources onto the field for that play. So you can go for the Tindangle Trinity, having the set on the field, but it can honestly be any other option. Being able to special summon Base Gardener, if you then have your spell Stairs of Mail, like I said, is a very important spell in the deck, activating it, being able to then discard a Tindangle card, which will then also set up more different Tindangle monsters in your graveyard to then flip up the card you had on the field, resolving the effect to special summon a Tindangle Base Gardener from your deck. So then you can special summon the other option onto the field, which could be your second Base Gardener, giving you the 3 monsters for the link summon of your Acute Cerberus, and then having the 3 different Tindangles, since it was off the discard of Stairs of Mail, for that power boost onto your Acute Cerberus, since it will have it if you have 3 or more Tindangle monsters with different names in your graveyard. If you go for the Scapegoat play, having Stairs of Mail and Scapegoat on the field can even just give you resources to go off of from there, because then you'll set Scapegoat, Stairs of Mail, discarding another Tindangle to the graveyard. Flipping up your Scapegoats will then give you the additional 4 tokens on the field, which you can then use for the additional plays. You can use 2 of the tokens to go into 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, and the last 2 for the same play. Just giving you 2 Wee Witch's Apprentice on the field will boost up the power of not only the Scapegoat, which I recommend just flipping back down again as another resource to use, but remember you have to use a different name, Tindangle, for the discard 4 Stales or Mill to set up Scapegoat again. And then if you just have more and more cards to go for that resource, along with having one of the Wee Witch's Apprentice in your extra monster zone and the additional discard, you can flip the Scapegoat again, giving you more tokens on the field for more link options. Just make sure the link arrow is away from the Scapegoat for that play. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's definitely an interesting deck, and I always feel like Akira Zaizen is an overlooked character from Brains. He definitely had a pretty interesting take on the series and just his position in it. I won't really call it an antagonist, but one more of a neutral position throughout the whole series. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.